You've probably heard some version of this line: industrial meat is toxic. And as a doctor who spends a lot of time looking for root causes, not just blaming the symptoms, I'm going to say something that might surprise people. Some of the concerns about industrial meat are legit, but a lot of the fear messaging around it is metabolically backwards. Because here's the problem. When some people get scared out of animal foods, they rarely replace them with regenerative rainbow salads hand-harvested by angels. They replace them with cheap, ultra-processed carbs, seed oils, and plant-based products that require a chemistry degree to pronounce. So let's separate what's true from what's noise, so you can make better choices without feeling like you need to refinance your house to buy grass-fed steak. And yes, if you want to deep dive into the ethics, environment, and nutrition conversation around better meat, I recommend checking out Diana Rodgers' documentary, Sacred Cow. It's available on streaming and also has an official full film release on YouTube. Now, let's get into it. When people say industrial meat is bad, they're usually mixing together four separate arguments: human health, animal welfare, environmental impact, and food system economics and transparency. Those are not the same conversation. So if we blend them together, we end up with the hot takes instead of helpful truths. Let's start with the part my community cares about most: health. If you're low-carb, keto, or carnivore curious, you already know this. Many people get healthier when they replace a high-carb, ultra-processed diet with a diet centered on animal-based protein and fats, because they finally get the nutrients their body is begging for, and they stop living on blood sugar roller coasters. Animal foods are dense in essentials: essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, highly bioavailable iron, zinc, B12, choline, the hard-to-get nutrients that many people are functionally deficient in while eating a calorie surplus diet. That's the first unbelievable truth. A person can be overfed and undernourished at the same time. And ultra-processed carbs are really good at that trick. So if you're choosing between cheap industrial meat plus some real foods versus cheap industrial carbs plus seed oils plus healthy snacks, for most humans, especially insulin-resistant humans, the animal-based option is often the better landing spot. Now, does that mean quality doesn't matter? No. It means we should talk about quality in a way that improves health without turning food into a purity contest. So, what are the legit concerns about industrial meat? Here are the big ones and what's fair versus what's exaggerated. First, industrial meat is full of hormones and antibiotics. This is where nuance matters. There are real industry practices worth improving, and there are also misunderstandings that get used as fear headlines. The root cause question I ask is, what does this do to a human metabolic system over time? If someone is eating mostly whole animal foods, not bathing their body in sugar and ultra-processed ingredients, and they're improving insulin resistance, inflammation, and satiety, their metabolic trajectory usually improves, regardless of whether the meat came from a boutique farm or the regular grocery store. That doesn't excuse bad practices. It just keeps us honest about priorities. Second, industrial meat is lower quality. Less omega-3, less omega-6, less nutrient dense. This is one of the more reasonable arguments. Feed and farming practices can influence fatty acid profiles and some micronutrients. If you have the resources and access, choosing higher quality meat can be a margin of benefit upgrade. But I want you to hear this clearly. If your metabolism is drowning in sugar and ultra-processed food, switching to affordable ground beef, eggs, and simple animal proteins is not a small step. That's not a margin. That's a metabolic rescue mission. Third, factory farming is cruel. That's an ethical argument, and it deserves seriousness, not sarcasm. Many people don't want to support practices that harm animals. I get that. And that's part of why regenerative farming is such an important direction. Better soil, better ecosystems, better animal welfare, better long-term resilience. But here's where the conversation can get unintentionally harmful. If someone uses that ethical concern to shame people with limited resources, like some of my patients I see on the south side of Chicago, who are just trying to feed their family, it becomes a moral tax on the poor. And I don't do health recommendations that require a trust fund. We can push for better systems without pretending everyone has the same grocery budget. Fourth, industrial meat is bad for the planet. This conversation gets complicated quickly. And Sacred Cow is one of the better entry points because it tackles the idea that we can't have a resilient food system without animals. But for today's video, I want to keep it practical. Even if you care deeply about the environment, the question still becomes, what's the most realistic path that improves human health and moves the system in the right direction? Because if a message leads millions of people away from nutrient-dense foods and into ultra-processed foods, that's not just a health problem, that's a systems problem. Now let's talk about what's not true, or at least what gets exaggerated. One of the biggest myths is this: if meat isn't grass-fed, it's basically poison. No. Is grass-fed a better option? Often, yes, if you can have access to it and afford it. But best is not the enemy of better. If you're eating meat, eggs, fish, some simple whole foods, you are already miles ahead of the standard pattern that keeps people inflamed, hungry, and stuck. And I want you to stop letting perfection steal progress. Here's the framework I want you to use. Best: regenerative, local, pasture-raised, grass-fed, when available and affordable. Better: standard grocery store meat you cook at home. Worst: ultra-processed food-like products replacing real protein. If your budget is tight, the goal is not to chase labels. The goal is to build meals around real protein and keep the ultra-processed stuff out of your daily life. So what should you actually do in real life? Let me give you a doctor-approved normal human strategy. Number 1, pick affordable, high-satiety proteins. Ground beef, chicken thighs, pork shoulder, eggs, canned salmon or sardines, frozen burger patties. These are your metabolic workhorses. Number 2, don't turn protein into a side dish. Most people are under-eating protein and then wondering why they're hungry at 9 p.m. Your body doesn't crave chips. It craves nutrients. Chips are just the loudest liar in the room. Number 3, if you want to upgrade quality, upgrade strategically. If money is limited, don't spread your dollars thin by trying to make every purchase perfect. Pick one upgrade. Choose high-quality ground beef when it's on sale. Or choose pasture-raised eggs if that matters to you. Or buy a portion of your meat from a local farm once a month. You don't need a perfect diet. You need a sustainable pattern. 4, keep your eyes on the real villain. If you want to be mad at something, don't start with the ground beef or steak. Start with the ultra-processed foods designed to override satiety, spike insulin, and keep people craving. Because from a root cause perspective, the obesity and diabetes crisis didn't come from people eating too many eggs. It came from a food environment that turned breakfast into dessert and called it heart healthy. And now, the big question you raised. If someone has limited resources, would they do better with an affordable plant-based diet or an affordable animal-based diet? Here's my honest take. If we're talking about what most people actually buy and eat in the real world, affordable plant-based often becomes refined grains, seed oils, sugary snacks, low-protein meals, and constant hunger. While affordable animal-based can look like ground beef, eggs, chicken, canned fish, and fewer cravings because satiety finally shows up. So yes, most people with metabolic dysfunction will do better anchoring their diet in affordable animal protein than trying to carb their way to health. That doesn't mean everyone has to be carnivore. It means we're finally respecting biology. Now let me close with this. You are not a bad person if your meat isn't perfect. You're not failing if you can't afford the premium label. And you don't need to earn your nutrition through financial suffering. If you can choose regenerative, choose it. If you can't, choose real food anyway. Because the goal isn't dietary perfection. The goal is a healthier metabolism, a clearer mind, a stronger body, and a life where food supports you instead of controlling you. And if you want to go deeper on the better meat conversation, nutrition, ethics, sustainability, check out Diana Rogers' Sacred Cow. I'll put a way to watch it in the pinned comment. Alright, drop a comment and tell me this. When you hear industrial meat, what's the first concern that pops into your mind? Health, ethics, environment, or cost? Because the more we talk about this honestly, the less power fear marketing has over your plate.